super simple stitch. If you know your double crochet and single crochets, you'll be able to do the crossover double crochet stitch. Hey, crochet friends, welcome back to the Stitch Sessions. We've got a brand new crochet tutorial for you today. Look at how pretty and lacy this is. So we are going to be working on the crossover double crochet stitch. Now, this has a few other names that are similar to this out there. I can't remember them right now. Now, this is not to be confused with the crossed double crochet stitch. So many of you have seen that tutorial on this channel as well as all over the internet. So the crossed with an ED at the end, a double crochet stitch is when you cross two double crochets over each other. This one is actually crossing over a cluster of double crochet stitches. So if you're a beginner, do not let this intimidate you. I know it looks super fancy, but if you know your double crochet stitch, you're nice and comfortable with it, and you know your single crochet stitches, you are good to go with this stitch. And as you can see, it is reversible from one side to the other. And you are not going to have any issues with this. Just at the beginning, it can be a little just wonky just because you haven't created a substantial number of rows yet. But once you get going and repeat it, it's going to be super easy. And it's just a 2-row repeat, and it just sits so beautifully, so nicely. And you may recall, those of you that have been here for a while, and by the way, if you are new here, I'm Karen, and I love anything to do with crafting with crochet. So you're going to catch me here doing stitch tutorials, as well as how sometimes I can use crochet in very crafty and different ways. So in that tutorial, and I'll leave a link for it in the description box down below, it was I think I did it in the spring, I can't remember, but they were fingerless gloves, and I used this stitch, and they were so pretty. I even added a little bow on the wrist. Really a lovely gift. It was a really super cute tutorial and a fun way to use this stitch. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to start the stitch, the multiples you're going to need, and how to create this beautiful effect. Aren't you excited? All right, let's get to it. So for today's tutorial, I'm actually going to be using this cotton yarn. This is Lion Brand's 24/7 cotton. I love, love, love it. It's a mercerized cotton. And the color I'm using, in case you're wondering, is called Sky. And actually, I will be using this in a future project, which you guys will see. It is considered a medium 4-weight yarn. And I love how it's got like this little chain spun effect here. It is fantastic for home decor items. So just a little hint of what is to come. So today I thought I would use this for our tutorial, and it gives you a chance to see what this yarn is like. This is not a sponsored video. This just happens to be the yarn that I chose. And now, and the hook size I'm going to be using is a 4.5 millimeter hook, which is a size G or a 7 if you go by those labels. This yarn calls for actually a 4 millimeter hook, but I'm just going to go up a hook size just to make it a little easier to see the stitches. And then, as always, anytime you work on a crochet project, make sure that you have a yarn needle on hand to weave in your ends and a handy pair of scissors to snip your yarn. So let's get started. Okay, so we are going to begin by placing a slip knot onto our hook here. And this stitch is done in multiples of 4 plus 3. So that means you're going to start a chain to however long you like it, but you want to do it in sets of 4. So 4, 4, 4, 4. And then when you get the length that you like, you're going to add 3 more. So for this tutorial, I'm going to chain up 27. So that's 24 plus 3. So 24 is 6 sets of 4. So we're going to begin with our chain, And I'm going to chain up my 27 chains. Okay, so I have 27 chains, and you can see I try very hard to make sure that I stitch nice and evenly. I don't want to bunch in any chains. I want to keep them nice and even. Okay, so what we're going to do now for row number 1 is we are going to find the second chain from the hook. So remember, this loop here never counts as a stitch. So we count 1 and 2, and into this chain we are going to single crochet. Now, because this is the edge of my work, what I like to do sometimes is I like to turn it over and see how the chain has these bumps at the back. This is what I'm going to work into. Now, some people can find this a little finicky, so if it just kind of really bothers you, please do feel free to go in through the front. It's not a big deal. So this is just what I like to do. So this is the second chain from the hook. So there is my back bump. I'm going to insert my hook and single crochet. And I'm going to place a single crochet into every single chain until I get to the end of my row. Okay, so once you have come to the end of row 1, you will have something that looks like this. And this is what it looks like along the bottom if you go into the back bumps. See how it's just nice and tidy there? That's why I like that. Okay, so I now have 26 stitches. So I started off with 27 chains. I will have 27 stitches. So whatever your stitch count was to begin with, you will have 1 stitch less. So this will now be my continued stitch count from here on out. So for row number 2, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to turn our work. And this chain 3 will count as a double crochet, okay? And then what we're going to do is we are going to skip the very next stitch, which is right here, and then into the following stitch, we are going to place a double crochet stitch. So I've yarned over and inserted, and pull through 2, and pull through 2, okay? So that chain 3 counts as a double crochet, and then we've left a little space here because we've skipped that first stitch. So it looks a little bit like a triangle right now. So now what we want to do is we want to double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So again, I'm going to yarn over into the next stitch. I will double crochet, and then again into the next stitch, I'm going to double crochet. Okay, so we have 3 double crochets, a little space, and another double crochet here at the end. Now, this is where the crossover technique comes into play. So what we're going to do is you're going to yarn over as if you're going to do a double crochet as usual, but instead of going into this stitch here, we're going to go all the way back to that skip stitch. Okay, so you will go back here. You're going to insert your hook, and it'll feel a little awkward at first, so don't be afraid to turn your work if you need. And then from there, I will pull up a loop. And now once I pull up that loop, I just want to stretch it so that it sits comfortably across those 3 double crochets. See that? So I don't want them to get too squished. I don't want it to be tight. I do want to show that there are 3 double crochets there. So once you've got it there, you'll have 3 loops on your hook, and then you resolve like a regular double crochet. So I pull through 2, and then I pull through the last 2 there. Okay? And that really helps the crossed over loop sit nicely, and it gives you that little effect here. Now don't worry about this at the beginning here. It will kind of sort itself out with subsequent rows. So that is your actual crossover double crochet. Okay, so we are going to do this again. So now what we're going to do is we are going to skip the next stitch, and into the next 3 we are going to double crochet. So I'm going to skip this stitch into this one. I'm going to do 1, then into the next one. I'm going to do 2, and into the following one, I'm going to do my 3rd double crochet stitch. Okay, just like that. And now we are going to do the crossover technique. You're going to yarn over. You're going to go back to that skipped stitch, insert your hook, and then pull up a loop. So it can get a little tricky in this first row, but just hang in there. Going to give it a nice little stretch so it goes across, and then pull through and pull through. There we go. Look at how pretty that looks. Okay, so we're going to repeat this to the end of the row, and I'm going to meet up with you when you have 1 stitch left. So right here, I'm going to skip the next stitch, and I'm going to go into the following stitch and do my 3 double crochets as usual, and then I will do the crossover technique. So I'll just take you through this one more time since I'm here. So we've got the third one. Okay, 3 double crochets. See the difference? 3 double crochets, and this has the crossover technique. So then we yarn over, we come back to this skipped stitch right here, insert our hook, and pull up a loop, give it a nice stretch, and then we pull through 2, just like you would a regular double crochet, and then pull through 2. Okay, and that is our crossover stitch. So pretty. Okay, go ahead and finish row number 2, and I'll meet up with you at the end. Okay, so I'm just working my last stitch here. The last one can get a little bit finicky at the end of the row just because it's a bit awkward. So there we go. Okay, so I've done my last crossover. You will have 1 stitch left, and into that stitch, you're just going to place a double crochet. So remember at the beginning, we did a chain 3. That counts as a double crochet. Well, we also have a double crochet at the end. So at the beginning and at the end of every row, it will be flanked by a double crochet. So here is the finished row, and you can see I have my 6 sets of the crossover double crochet. Look at how pretty that is. So it creates a little bit of a lacy effect. Super, super cute. And then when I turn it over, it looks pretty similar to the front. Isn't that pretty? So that is the main repeat. Row 1 and row 2 is what you're continuing to repeat now. So row 1 is single crochets, and then row 2 is the actual crossover stitch, and it just helps to stabilize the stitch. So I'm going to take you on to row number 3 just to show you how you would continue. So you would chain 1 here and turn your work, and then right into that very first stitch where you did the chain 1, you're going to insert your hook and single crochet. So this row is all single crochets, and now you're going to work 1 single crochet into each and every stitch all the way across, and it should be nice and easy to see and pretty straightforward. See, so you can really see it's giving that crossover stitch nice stability. Okay, so whoops. Okay, so continue to single crochet to the very end of your row. Okay, so I'm just coming up to the end of the row. So I have 1 into that last double crochet stitch. Then we have our chain 3, remember? So this is where we find the top of the chain 3, and we single crochet into that. And this is what's going to give that edge, that stability we're looking for. See that? See, it just kind of squares off nicely. Look at how pretty that is. Okay, so, and then I'll just start you again on row 4 is going to be the repeat of row number 2. So as always, we start with the chain 3. We turn our work, and then we skip the very next stitch, which is right there. And then we begin our 3 double crochets. The first one goes here. Then we go into the next stitch right there. And then we go into the next stitch right here. Okay, just like that. And then you know what to do. We yarn over and then we go back into that skipped stitch and pull up a nice relaxed loop there. And then we resolve like a regular double crochet, pulling through the first two and then the second two. So now you can see how they're stacking beautifully, one on top of the other. So that is the repeat for this stitch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and finish several more rows so that you get the full effect of how pretty this stitch is going to come out. Okay, so through video magic, I will be back in just a few seconds. Okay, so I've completed the repeat 5 times. So that means row 1, row 2, row 1, row 2, row 1, row 2. I've done it 5 times. And I finished it with row number 1 repeat just to kind of create a nice little solid border. And that is what the crossover double crochet stitch looks like. And if I set it down against a nice contrasting background, look at how pretty that looks. Isn't that nice? And then when you pick it up, it's got this little bit of a lacy effect. And it's similar on the back. It's not exactly the same. See how on the front it crosses over a little bit. Oops, that's the back. So this is the front. See how it crosses over going to the left? And that is the back. So it just sits a little lower on the back, but it's fairly reversible. And there you have it, the crossover double crochet stitch. I really love this stitch and I haven't used it in a while. So I am definitely going to look into creating something new with this stitch. Now, if you haven't checked my fingerless gloves tutorial that I did using this stitch, it was so pretty. It's actually really a great little project for fall or even perfect for summer, actually, spring or summer. I know a lot of times those of you that work in offices, you've got the AC blaring, and I have heard that many times you appreciate having fingerless gloves so that your hands, most of your hands stay free, but your fingers are free to do the work. Again, I'll leave that project link down below. You can check that out. And it makes for a pretty design, right? So if you're using this, let's say with the fingerless gloves, look how pretty that is. Just beautiful. So also share with us down in the comments what you would make with this stitch. What kind of things would you create? We always appreciate it when you guys share ideas with each other. So I hope you found it really simple to create this stitch and fun. So using basic stitches like double crochets and single crochets, you can create a lot of cool and neat, interesting stitches. Now, if you have any further questions, as always, you know you can leave those for me in the comment box down below, but you can also email me directly at info@crochetcrafty.com. And as always, come visit me on the website, crochetcrafty.com. Lots of fantastic goodies there for you. Free patterns, sizing charts, and a link to my Etsy shop where you can find more patterns there. And as always, I encourage you to come say hi to me. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at The Stitch Sessions, and make sure to tag me in any of the projects that you create using this stitch. And if you are new here and you've enjoyed today's tutorial, I invite you to come hang out with me every Wednesday when I upload a brand new video. So make sure to click that subscribe button and don't forget to press the notification bell so you'll never miss when I upload a brand new video. All right, gang, that's all for me today. So as always, I hope you have an amazing day. Happy crocheting. Take really good care of yourselves, and I will see you guys in next week's session. Bye-bye.